All right. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Those of you joining us are from around the world. I must say that I don't know about you, but I really love that intro, especially the 30-second countdown. I don't know, it puts me in a nice, calming, relaxing mood. And then to seeing the different geometric shapes changing.
Mm,
Yeah, I really love that. So,
very
uh,
soothing.
yes, very much. Shout out to Vince for finding that one. So, good job, Vince, on that one.
Yeah, no problem.
Uh, how have you been, man? Yeah, having a good week so far?
Yeah, it's been a pretty good week here. We've been pretty busy here at Swivl. You know, been watching a lot of news recently and things like that. Trying to keep focused on work and also trying to. I know a lot of teachers out there kind of getting ready for testing season
Mhm.
and you know that most important time of the year, right? So
Oh,
I
yes.
have a
It
feeling.
is definitely the most important time of the year, you know.
Yeah,
That's what they tell us, right?
yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah. I don't know about the kids, but yeah, I know for the teachers at least. So,
a little bit very stressful, very
mhm.
stressful time of the year. And
Yep. How about you, Kelvin?
something Oh yeah, I've been doing well this week. Also, trying to uh not be too bogged down and glued to the news, but
Yeah.
just watching and keeping up to date, obviously, with everything that's going on. Uh,
Hmm.
At work's been going well too. We've been meeting with a lot of people, helping them out, doing lots of trainings and everything. So, you know,
Good.
very excited. Love staying busy because I always tell people the alternative is, not being
Yeah.
busy, and I enjoy that moderately. You don't want to be too
Right.
busy because then you just right. But at any rate, with that being said, kind of to piggyback off what you were saying earlier, Vince,
Mm.
we're getting into that sort of interesting, maybe crazy, little nerve wracking time of the year, especially in education, with testing season coming. But also, it's the time where you're probably going to be running into your last
Mm.
final evaluations as well.
Yep.
So, we wanted to make sure that we touch base on that over the next 2 weeks about how, or a couple of weeks, sorry, about how, that does affect you and just talking about that, some of the things that you're doing and, some ideas that, we would like to share with you to maybe help enhance those things that you're already doing within your
Mm.
classrooms or your schools or districts. So, starting off is going to be peer to peer virtual visits. That's our topic for today. So, this is one that brings back so many memories for
Good or
me.
bad?
Yeah, it's uh, a little bit both, actually.
Yeah.
I've had the opportunity to be actually on both ends of those, where one, I was the one of the teachers going to the classrooms, or I was also one of the teachers that the other folks came to my classroom to observe. And I have to admit, that was a nice little, I guess, feather in my cap. I was like,
Mm.
ooh, I'm advanced enough where people actually could come observe me. Yay,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Um, but I always looked at it as a double-edged sword as well, because I'm very critical of myself. It's like, okay, I could be the person they're bringing to said this is what not to do, right? So
Hmm.
it does always have that little bit of doubt in there, but it wasn't too bad. Which
Yeah.
kind of leads us to our first question. What
Yep.
does that look like in your classroom when you're doing those, when you're visiting another teacher's class? So for me, it's pretty much always been the same. It's usually during our, I guess, quote unquote, planning time,
Mm.
one of our planning times during specials. So we get together during our specials time and in our group at the class that we're going to go in. Sometimes it just be one class. Sometimes we'll try to do 3 or 4 classes that are going on that might be either doing a math or a reading lesson, just whatever the case may be during that block. And, we stay anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes in each class. and then talk for maybe a minute or two afterwards. We come in there. Now, one thing that I definitely do remember about all of this is that it was pretty much organized chaos. It was one of those things where, okay, if everything goes extremely well, ideally, you probably have maybe about 20 to 25 minutes total of like doing this. If it didn't, there was many times where it was about 10 minutes that we spent. And I was just like, man, this just seemed like there should be a better way of doing this, because life kind of gets in the way. You take your students to specials, right? The teacher, specials teacher, might want to talk to you about something, or you're giving them a little update. Then you gotta make sure you're ready to go after they come back from specials. There might be something that needs to go home, so you go to the office, check your mailbox,
Yep.
all that stuff. You got make sure you have all your notes or whatnot that you need with you. That you get to where you're going to meet. It's like, okay, but then you have to wait for everyone else to get there. You might be the first person there, might be the last person there waiting for you, and then you go in, and you might be expecting to see something, but the teacher's not at that point yet of what you were supposed to be seeing. So you're watching something. It's like, okay, all right, okay, are they gonna get to it? And then that time it's time to go, maybe to the next class. And then remember it being a very, hey, what did you notice about this? Oh, such and such. And then, maybe one or two people spoke, and it's like, okay, just make sure you jot down what your impressions, and then you move on to the next, right? And then I remember we're supposed to have an actual, really true debrief afterwards, but that very rarely happened, because the person that we're supposed to be debriefing with usually is pulled for something else. So, it's organized chaos. So that's been my experience with that. And I saw you smiling during that story event. So I can imagine you probably could relate to some of that. So what about you?
Yeah, it's very similar, or kind of like what you said, when the person that you're supposed to like debrief with, maybe they have another visit right after, or like maybe they have a class after, or something like that. So it ends up becoming, well, let's meet for 10 minutes after school, so and then it ends up not really being a debrief, right? It's just a kind of like, yeah, this went well, or share notes really quick. One of the ways that we did it in my previous district, we had kind of like groups of teachers coming in per week, or it was about maybe every couple of weeks. And in the front of our classroom, we had to list 3 things that we were working on, kind of like intentions, which we'll probably talk about later on. And any of the groups that came in would read one of the intentions or one of the goals that you set. We actually had them like grows and glows, right? So,
Okay.
and then the teachers that would come in would try to observe that and see if they can find it. What I liked about that was you didn't really have to worry about them nitpicking you on little things that you weren't really trying to focus on. So that's what was really helpful. And a lot of us would leave the same. The downside of this is that some of us would forget to update those grows and glows, during the week, or so we'd have the same ones over and over again. so every time, like my colleagues would come in, like, "Are you still doing? You're still working on this?" Like, so it was just a couple of times that we forgot to update those grows and glows, but that was also before like all the COVID stuff, and there was a lot of people coming in.
Yes.
So I'm sure it's a lot different now with peer-to-peer visits. Another way that I would used to do it was just go across the hall to one of my colleagues that was one of my good friends as well, and I just would watch their class, and I wouldn't even announce it. Like we had that really good relationship that we were able to just kind of walk in and just kind of check out how the class was going, and you really learn a lot from there. So I really enjoyed that too. That was some of my experiences in the past couple of years when I was teaching. So.
Yes, definitely agree with that. During the 1 year that we taught, and we had kind of our super team, it was both fourth and fifth grade teams together.
Oh, nice.
because we
Mm-hmm.
taught fourth and fifth grade students, which was very interesting. But with different specials time, I did have the ability to sit in on a couple of the fourth grade teachers' classes, which was nice for me because I always say I've never considered myself to be an expert. I always consider
Yeah.
myself to be a student. I'm always learning and I want to grow. So even if you might be a new teacher, it's something like, hey, you might be doing something that I used to do that I forgot about because I've been doing this for a while and kind of became cynical. I was like, oh yeah, that was something that I did like doing. Why did I stop doing that again? That sort
Yeah.
of or even if it was, hey, Kelvin, do you mind coming in and just watching me for about 15, 20 minutes? I had a question about this and I want to see if maybe you had some ideas on how I'm doing
Right.
this. Sure, not a
Mm-hmm.
problem. That was also like, again, nice to be valued as having your opinion valued. Someone that trusts you enough to know that they would, you're the type of person that would give them that feedback that they're looking for, right?
Yep.
To help them to grow. So again, it's really is nice to be able to do that. Um, the problem that I often find is that if it's not being done well, and that's why
Yeah.
in my example, it was nice attempt at what they were trying to do, but it was just not implemented well, which is why I said organized chaos.
Right.
And kind of like how you were saying now too, Vince, especially everything with COVID, even I know we see it all the time. A lot of schools that have gone back face to face, they're still limiting the visitors that are coming into the classroom, even
Yep.
though the students are there. So this kind of is a nice little segue into what we're going to talk about next, as far as using the power of video, but in this
Yep.
case, live streaming video. Okay, so we're going to do we want the how first, and then we're going to talk about the why behind it. Okay,
Yep.
so with Swivl, all right, you have the ability using your robot and your mobile device to, of course, join a live stream. So what that would look like is simply turning your robot on. I'm going to wake up my iPad here. Okay, it's going to come alive. Like that, getting loosey goosey. I'm going to allow that access to happen. Make sure I turn on my marker. All right, wait for those two green lights to pop up there. Boom. So everything is connected. As you can see, I have two green lights on my robot as well. I'm going to go ahead and start my Zoom session. Okay. And this could be Microsoft Teams, Google Meets, whatever. It will look the same here. So I've started and oops, meeting. There we go.
So this is like the teacher, you as a teacher,
Yeah.
you are actually starting this from your classroom, right? Or maybe from depending on where you are, right? So,
Yes, good point. Thank you, Vince. Yes. So, as Vince was just saying, this would be me as the teacher starting my session because I know, again, going ahead of time, you can either schedule this out as well. And then Vince is in his classroom getting ready to join the session
yep.
with me. So,
So I would be like, I'm not going to go physically to
mhm.
Kelvin's classroom, but I'm going to watch Kelvin's class virtually, right? It's a good way to do it. And this is another use case for this would be if you are living in a district that has, sorry, let me join this real quick here. So another use case of this would be if you are living in a district that has campuses spread out very far, it's kind of difficult to reach all those campuses. If you're the only coach or if you're the only, if you want to view someone from another campus across the county, you can just set up a live stream like what Kelvin did right now. So
Mhm.
let me share my screen so I could show you how it looks on the Zoom call here.
Mhm.
Just a second. So Kelvin has invited me to the Zoom call, and you're going to get a little bit of a weird inception thing here going on. So here we go.
I love
Uh,
that. Actually, that's awesome.
yeah. So just a second here. Um, let me turn the mic to here so I won't get any echoing.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then as he's doing that, again, I'm in my classroom. I have the marker. I can go ahead and turn on the tracking. So the robot's going to, of course, follow me while I'm going about my business and teaching. So Vince is going to be in his classroom just watching me during this lesson. I also have the ability to record this. That way, he'll be able to watch it later on as well. So it's one of those things where, okay, I can watch this, take notes, or I can just watch it without having to worry about notes, knowing that I'm going to get a recording back of this. And that way I can take another deep dive into it and kind of dissect certain parts or those more intentional things that I was looking for in this particular video. Okay. And then that's pretty much it. Once you're done, you would end the live stream like you normally do. It's like, all right, thanks for joining me. And, Vince could either leave or I can just end the meeting for everyone, like so. There you go. So that is the how about going through this. Now, I know that's a lot. Don't worry. You're like, oh, that might be a lot of information. We're going to drop the links and everything in the tutorial. Or in this video. So if you're watching this later on YouTube, or you'll be able to have that information. But don't worry, it's very simple. And if you're looking like, is that really it? Yes, that really was it. It doesn't take much. If you know how to set up a Zoom meeting, it's just doing it through your Swivl robot with the Teams app. So easy peasy. So again, this was the how. Now let's look at the why, which brings us into our second question. What are some of the benefits of video for peer-to-peer visits? So what are some of those benefits? Okay. So now, again, we know how to do it, but why would we want to do that? Well, something that I think of would be, and again, this for me would have been a game changer when is kind of my example. The biggest thing would be time. It helps to save time. So you're not necessarily having to go to those various classrooms or to that classroom and hope that, all right, by the time you get there, you're seeing what you need to see or you didn't miss it. Because again, teachers, they can wait maybe just a little bit, but they're not going to wait indefinitely because that messes up the flow for them and more importantly, the students. So with this, you join the session and you just see everything. Okay. And the nice thing about it, they could start the session even earlier. That way, maybe if you are 2, 3, 4 minutes late coming in, you still also have the recording of the beginning part that you did miss. So you can look at that part, the entirety of it, not just the portion that you were able to come in and live stream for. So time is going to be one of the biggest benefits that I see. What about you, Vince? Anything else?
One of the biggest benefits as well is, when you go into a classroom, you always disrupt as much as you try not to, you
Yes.
disrupt the dynamics of the classroom. Kids know that you're in there and like watching, like, why are you watching? It changes their behavior
I
too.
would imagine you were pretty popular, weren't you, Vince? You probably go in the classroom. It's like, Mr. Novoa, Mr.
Yeah.
Novoa.
Yeah, and that's another reason why I would try to go, during when there was stations or something like that, so I wouldn't kind of go into the middle of a class. But with Swivl, the way you set it up, Kelvin, it's so easy for you just to go in there and watch. You don't even have to have your camera on. You don't have to. Uh, you won't be bothering anybody. Your colleague can just put it in the back of the classroom, and you can be live streaming the entire time, and you can be watching the class like nothing, and you can jump off whenever you need to, and record it if you need to. So, I think that's one of the biggest things is just not disrupting the classroom is a good thing.
Excellent. Yes. And just in case you might be thinking like, but how will I know if someone comes in? Don't I have to like invite them or accept them to come into the meeting? You
Mhm.
can actually turn that off in the settings where
Yep.
you don't have to, it's just open. Like as soon as they click on the link, it's going to automatically allow them into that meeting. So you
Yeah.
don't have to accept them in. All right.
Or you can make them like a co-host or something like that. Like if you have
Mhm.
this plan before, they could
Right.
they could even start the meeting themselves and you join it. So
Mhm.
it's really flexible in the way you do it. So
Mhm. Yes, and I definitely agree because again, as Vince was saying earlier, he's super popular with all the students, and they, love flocking to him when he comes in the classroom, and he doesn't want to be disruptive. So doing it this way definitely will help out as well. And again, that's just some of the benefits. I mean, time, classroom disruption. I mean, you have the ability to really take a deep dive in this. This could even be something too that you can have those discussions like the teachers that's teaching. Let's say, as Vince mentioned, you make a co-host. So let's say you're doing this with the coach. You're in your coach's cohort, and all the teachers are in there, and the coach is a cohort, or I'm sorry, the co-host, and can be posing questions. So what did you just notice, right? And you could be typing back, and the teacher's just going about their business. And this is just a conversation that's taking place with the other teachers that are observing, and maybe that coach as well. So again, lots of different ways that you could do is lots of different benefits for it. And
yeah,
again, the main thing is, hey, it's very easy and very simple to do, and it's something that's not going to be extra. It's not going to be outside of the norm. Truly, I mean, like if you're gonna have people in the classroom, it's like, well, they're still in there now. I just don't have to worry about them,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
I
there
mean,
you go.
you could even, I don't know if you want to talk about this, Kelvin, but you could even go even deeper by adding that headset to the marker. Like if you wanted to do in your
Mhm,
coaching or like visits, or because you can connect a headset like this
mhm.
to one of the markers
Yep.
that Kelvin has there, and if I'm watching Kelvin, I could talk to Kelvin in his ear if I wanted to. Anyone on the call would be able to be able to communicate with Kelvin. Now that could be also distracting for you, so it might not be what you want to do. But if it's someone that you're very comfortable with,
Mhm.
if it's someone that, uh, or maybe you really want to get that feedback from somebody
Yeah.
live instead of going to your computer and chatting with them, that's another option for you. It's we have in your coaching. Uh, it's a great way to do it too.
Yes, and that's a nice, quick little segue there. We will be going into greater detail next week about in-ear
Yep.
coaching as well. But this is really nice too if you're observing and you're trying to do those peer-to-peer visits, and the teacher that you're observing doesn't mind having the headset in their ear, and it could be something like, oh wow, that's pretty cool how you did that transition. And you
Mhm.
like, how long did it take you to get your students up to this point? Right? It may be something like that. And again, the teacher can continue teaching, and when they find a nice natural pause, a moment, or something, respond back. It's like, oh yeah, it take a lot longer than you would think. It was just about maybe a month of constant practicing, but we got there in the end, and this is what you see now. It takes no time for them to do it, but that first month was rough, right? That sort of thing. A lot of
Yeah.
those are kind of going through. So again, the most important thing about that though is definitely going to be the comfort level of the person who's going to have the headset in there.
Yeah.
you know so, but yes, that's something you can definitely do, and we've seen this work well.
Yeah.
I mean, the teachers and the school districts and things that have implemented this and they're using their swivels this way have found that their peer-to-peer visits is no kidding, like night and day. It's like just the response, it's saving no time, the classroom disruptions, the people in and out of the classroom as well.
Mhm.
having the ability to have the recording of that live stream to be able to watch back. I mean, just the collaborating process where you're talking with the people during the live stream and being able to communicate. It's all huge. So
Yeah,
there's tons and tons and tons of benefits for that as well.
yeah, we have like literally thousands of people using it for this kind of
Hmm.
things right now in around the country, some in other countries as well, where even some teacher prep are doing this, using it for like the student teachers that need to kind of visit their mentor teacher. They can also view virtually as well. So there's like lots of ways you can do it, peer to peer. It's just really up to you how you want to do it, really. So
Excellent, excellent. So this takes us to our final thoughts, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap up here.
yep.
All right. So, final thoughts. Share one concrete example of how you can use Teams to enhance peer-to-peer visits within your school or district. Okay. So, the Teams app to set up your live stream through Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or Google Meet in order to do that. Now, I actually had someone share a response of how they were going to be doing this, which I figured I'd obviously share with you all as well.
Hmm.
So this particular district was really, really interested and excited about doing this for their PLCs. Now, this is the district superintendent, and she was super excited about this because this allowed her the opportunity to visit more of those PLCs than she would otherwise. Because again, she's superintendent, lots of things going on her plate, just like with all of us. But it's not like all those PLCs are taking place in her building and she can just go downstairs. They're taking place
Yeah,
in like her buildings within the
yeah,
district. So she was like, yeah, I'm able to do like two or three, maybe four within that a time period, depending on
yep.
what time it is. And then the ones that I'm not able to get to. And she said, some people think I'm weird, but I have the recordings so I can watch them after the fact on the weekends. And then I make comments on there and they see those comments and they get super excited about that. So I
Hmm.
was like, there you go. That's a great way of doing it.
Yep.
And to get that feedback. Okay, so she's coming into those PLCs, seeing what's going on with those particular teams in those schools, and able to connect with them, even on a personal level as well. And she even shared that the teachers have become so accustomed to it that they now are like, when it's maybe been over 2-3 weeks and they haven't had her come in. It's like, have you forgotten about us and everything? She's like, no, I'm still watching. I just
Hmm.
haven't been able to come live because it's in a rotation. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things that have becoming an expected behavior, which is also nice. So that was one of our final thoughts. I
Yeah.
see that, of course, we are at our time here. So before we go, let's just wrap up.
Yeah.
And just want you to know, if you need any help about Swivl products, you're more than welcome to visit us at swivl.com/setup. Okay, it'd be a nice place to go to get you up and running for your Swivl products there. Also, we have our weekly Q&A session, which meets every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can register at swivl.com/events. You can also follow us on Twitter, hashtag at, or not hashtag, God bless it, at Switter. I'm getting there, Vince. I'm getting
Yeah.
there.
It's all right, man.
Also follow us on Instagram at Go Swivl.
Yep.
And then you can do the same thing on our YouTube page. So subscribe at youtube.com/Swivl.
Oh,
Make
right
sure
there.
that yeah,
If
there
you're
you
watching,
go.
right?
I was like, I'm like, it's on that side for me, but it's on, yeah. And just make sure you follow like, subscribe, and set those notifications so when we do go live like this or push other things out, you're able to see that. Please join us next week on March 16th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time when we will be talking about in-ear coaching. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, a great week, and God bless everyone in Ukraine. We miss you, Oksana. Stay safe, everyone. Peace.
Bye.